Welcome, I'm Eric with Vast Strength. In this video, we're going to be discussing the Roolox collars made by Abmat in collaboration with the inventor, Chris Wittenbrink. Let's go ahead and dive into the specs and how they work. Before getting to that, I do think it's important to note that I did not receive any compensation from Abmat to perform this review, and I did purchase these Roolox collars for my own personal use. Abmat is an American company, and if it's important to you, they do produce these Roolox collars in the United States of America. Presently, they make them in the colors of black, green, and the good old red, white, and blue. It is difficult to assess the value of an item, but it's easy to say that the Roolox collars are in a higher price tier than most of their competition. They do share the rarefied air of a cost of $85 to $90 with the Titan Twist Lock Pro collars, and collars such as the Rogue USA aluminum collars, at least the Cerakote or magnetic versions, do come in at about $10 to $20 cheaper. Where the Roolox collars don't seem as competitive would be with collars such as the Pro Lock or the Lockjaw, which are going to be probably $40 to $50 cheaper. All in all, when it comes to a home gym, I think it's safe to say these Roolox collars are a luxury item. So these Roolox collars are all plastic on the outside. There is rubber pads on the inner ring, and then on the outer ring is what clicks on or off from red to green, red to green. Now, the way it goes on, if you have it on red, you can both put it on and take it off the bar. If you have it in green, you can put it on the bar, but you can't take it off, so it won't slide back the other direction. The reason being, as you can see, here's the red. You can see those three rubber pads, and you can see with the red, see if I can get a good view on this, with the red engaged, they're buried. When the green goes on, how they come out. So again, rubber's out or rubber's in with the red on. Green's engaged, that rubber pops out, grabs onto the bar. The red. So it's a pretty easy mechanism, and it works really well. Now, I will say that I do not, when I'm using this, I do not generally put it down, you can put it on with the green. I don't generally do that, because my thought is I'm doing that, I'm rubbing that rubber more than is necessary. So I don't know, I worry about the wear with that, but from what I understand, they don't have any issue with you doing that, but it just doesn't make as much sense to me from a wearing out standpoint. In addition, there is a magnet in this ring that goes up against the weights, but it's pretty mild. It's nothing that you're going to be able to, for instance, store this up on your upright or anything. In talking about the specs, let's first look at the weight, which comes in at 0.212 kilograms, which is just a little bit under half a pound. And we can measure the width that'll take up on the bar, which is about 1 7/8 inch, which equates to about 4.7 centimeters. So not small by any means. And if we compare it to other collars that I have here, we can see width-wise, it's fairly average. We have obviously the Roolox here. We have a knockoff Lockjaw collar, which I got for free. We have the Rogue aluminum collar, and then the PRX Talon collar. So I would say width-wise, it's probably about equal to at least our Lockjaw imitation here. Weight-wise, it is heavier than the other ones. Not by a lot, but it is heavy enough that I guess if you want to say you got a pair of these, then you're going to add a pound to your weight. You could consider that. But I think it's close enough to the norm that probably it doesn't really weigh into anything, both literally and figuratively. Let's talk about how simple and easy these are to use. So when putting these on, you're always going to have the logo side, Roolox, out towards you, and the side that says towards the weight, towards the weight. You're going to simply slip it on. And once you have it on, it's going to show red. Now red means stop, it's not locked. With a simple click over, Now it's green, and green means go. You're safe for your lift. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull this off. So you can see there is a very small gap here from me doing the trying to get this collar to move or shift. It's not a lot, but it is present. Now, even with the green, theoretically you can push it back down, although I often do still make it go over to red. So now we're locked on again. To take it off, you simply click it over to red, and then you can pull it off without difficulty. As you can see, it's very easy to place and remove the Roolox collars with one hand, and it's very fast and efficient to perform plate changes. Let's discuss why I specifically sought out the Abmat Roolox collars. So prior to that, my collars that I was using as a daily driver were the Rogue USA aluminum magnetic collars, and these are great collars, and in some ways better than the Roolox collars, as these, once you get them on, they're not moving at all. Okay, so they're probably the more solid locked on collar that you can get. Now, the downside for these though is when you open them, you can, if you're not careful, get your finger like I did there, because that mechanism for locking is under a lot of tension. And so when it does open up, it opens up quite strongly. I could just be more careful, but I also enjoy working out with my 3 young boys who are 8 and below, and they like to get in the gym with me, and I want to stress the fact that we do the important aspects of weightlifting like safety, putting on the collars, and also I stress the importance of then cleaning up afterwards. So I didn't like the idea of having something that could really zap their fingers like this could, and having watched a video with the Kurt Locker, he had discussed these and said he really liked their use for his kids in his gym. Intuitively, it makes a lot of sense, obviously, right? Red, green, and it seems like it's an easy mechanism that they should be able to do. Unfortunately for me in my gym, that my 6-year-old in particular seems to have trouble making this mechanism go back and forth, because you do need to somewhat be able to kind of coordinate having your fingers on both the movable ring and the outer ring. Regardless, this one didn't work out so well. So I ended up getting a different collar that they use, which is this one here. This is the Talon. This is made by PRX. And I think they like it for one, it's like one of those slap bracelets. And so it goes on and it actually stays pretty good. I would say not as good as the Roolox, or definitely not as good as the Rogue aluminum collar, but it's actually good, and with them we're doing light weights. The other thing that my boys really like about the Talon is that it does things like this, where you can just put it on and it just kind of looks funny when it's sitting on the magnet. So Talon's been a victory for them. This has not been as much of a victory, although still I would use this with them prior to this. And I think this is still a great option for young people. It just didn't work as good for my 6-year-old for whatever reason. And I don't want to induce frustration in the gym for him. Having said that, these are my favorite. So these are my daily drivers. This is what I use all the time. The only thing that I don't use these on are probably when I do deadlifts. And with deadlifts, I use this collar instead. The reason I do is just because when this is on, it is just so locked on. You don't have to really worry about the weights moving much. But with the rest of my lifts, I'm not really worried about that, but I'm not dropping the bar or my weight, so it's not as much of an issue for me. This is a home run. I love this thing. Now I do have some concerns. One of my concerns would be essentially, how's this gonna hold up in the long run? Obviously I worry about all the plastic, but I've actually dropped this way more times than I'd care to admit, and it's held up quite well. The other thing is, when I first bought it, the cost was a little bit hard to kind of swallow, but to be frank, I think right now a lot of the cost is very similar, or it's not that far off, that I think the benefits of this one for me, it's been totally worth it. So the Abmat Roolox collar, I love it, and maybe you'll love it too. If you have any questions or concerns, please leave them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, please like and subscribe. And as always, get strong, be smart, stay safe. Thanks for watching.